Hello, and welcome back to Drama After Dark, GBH's live drama after show, where tonight we are talking about the brand new masterpiece production, Miss Scarlet and the Duke. I am joined, as always, by the lovely Andrea Willanen, and I'm your co-host, Jackie Bruley. Hello, hello.
How are you today, Jackie?
I can't complain. It was sort of a nice, calm day, lazy Sunday, if you will, and then I got to watch a pretty fun show on TV, so kind of a
A
win-win.
pretty great show, to be honest.
Indeed.
I've been really, really enjoying this, and I'm pretty sure you have too.
I have been loving it. I drew the straw where I got to recap this one. So I've been watching ahead a little bit, and it's a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to this season. And I've also been enjoying reading your recaps of All Creatures Great and Small. So everyone should check those out as well.
Yeah, I have to say it's an interesting juxtaposition this season with All Creatures, or with Miss Scarlet and the Duke, followed by All Creatures, where you have sort of a little bit of a swashbuckler, followed by what's possibly one of the most soothing shows I've seen on TV recently. Like, just pet the cow, gently pet the cow's little head, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, what it is we hype you up with Miss Scarlet, with the intrigue and the murder and the mayhem, and then we soothe you into sleep with All Creatures Great and Small.
It's true. And then in a couple weeks, after that, we'll depress you with the long song, which looks amazing. It looks very sad, but it looks really, really good. And I'm really looking forward to that as well.
Me too. It's a really crazy January lineup. I am kind of impressed, and it's a real abundance of riches. So it's a good month. It's a good way to start the year off.
It's a good way to start the 50th anniversary of Masterpiece off.
It's true. Now, speaking of good ways to start things off, how's that for a segue?
Hey.
Andrea, I believe you are the one who is going to be doing our speed recap here tonight.
I am. Yes. I'm kicking it off this season. I'm feeling underprepared this time, to be honest. I'm not sure how well I will do. I know I usually talk a big game, but this week we'll have to see how it goes.
I have faith in you. I think the first recap of the season, especially with a brand new show, is always kind of tricky because you have to set up everything.
Yeah. But it definitely is a little tricky, and this episode had a lot going on, as most Masterpiece shows do.
Yes, absolutely.
We'll see how I do.
Well, I have full faith, and I also have our trusty rusty 30-second sand timer. So let me know when you're ready to go, and I'll flip this puppy.
I am ready.
Go!
Eliza Scarlet just wants what every girl wants, to be a crime fighter. More specifically, to follow in her papa's footsteps to be a PI. Alas, her father passes away before he can teach her the tricks of the trade, but never fear. Her housekeeper, Ivy, and her best frenemy are on her side, so how can she possibly fail? I'll tell you how. Taking a bad case that winds up taking her into the wrong parts of town and getting tricked. Will she save the day? If you just watched it, you know that she does. Done.
That was beautifully done, and I think you did a nice job of explaining all the stuff that's all the players. Good job. I approve.
Yeah, it was an intense episode in terms of, like, I was having a hard time recapping the mystery. With these mystery shows, you don't really want to really tell all the twists and turns because you don't want to spoil anything if people accidentally watch this before they watch the show. So sorry if I got a little vague there. Maybe we'll amp that up next time.
Some amount of vague is good. I liked it.
Yeah. But speaking of how awesome this show is, can we talk about all the amazing moments that we had just in this first episode?
Yes, we can. Let's definitely talk about our favorite moments. I think we would be remiss if we did not address the fact that this show has some truly incredible costumes.
Oh my God.
It was great to see on Twitter all of the people who were like, wait, I only got to get a short little look at that amazing hat she wore to the funeral, which was a beautiful hat. All the dresses have pockets.
Yes. Oh my God. So, I'm a sucker for costumes. I don't know how historically accurate the pockets are. I haven't been able to force my friend who's a costumer into watching this. We'll soon, hopefully. But exactly, yet. But the moment I realized that every single dress she wore, I didn't notice with the morning one, but every single other dress she wore had pockets. I was like, oh my God, that's such a great detail because first of all, she's, they didn't really buy off the rack back then. At least I don't think somebody at her economic level was. So the fact that this woman who's been raised solely by her father, who's very into being sort of scrappy and running around town, being her own person and running the household, it makes total sense to me that she would say, no, I need pockets. What am I supposed to carry stuff in? My like little medicine bag I carry everywhere? There's only so many tools that can fit in that. Sometimes you need to put something in a pocket.
Yes, exactly. And I think just the characterization that she would have them is perfect. I
Mm-hmm.
also really liked that so far we've only really seen her in a couple of outfits, which is
Mm-hmm.
very historically accurate. I mean, like, we've talked to costumers before, and they always mention that these dresses are, like, incredibly expensive. They're, like, the
Mm-hmm.
equivalent of a car, and so you wouldn't really
Yeah.
have a huge wardrobe. So as
Yeah.
much as, like, my costume-loving heart wants to see the 7
I
million
know.
dresses that we were treated to in,
Yeah.
say, like, a Bridgerton, it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of nice to just have that one blue dress that we recognize from the promo pictures, and it's just kind of like a nice calling card for her. So it was fun.
It is. It is. It's almost, and what I like about it is it's almost like her little PI uniform, right? Like that's what she wears when she's hunting crime, or she wears that like I'm going sneaking under the cover of night little dress that she had with like the maroons and the blacks. I loved that.
Right, it
Um,
fits right in.
yeah, yeah. I want to get on to another part that I really loved.
Please.
Speaking of her as a female private investigator, one of the things I loved her interactions with Wellington because he
Mm.
clearly underestimates her every time. He's clearly very into her and she does not care, which, I love that. Let's be honest.
It's a great dynamic. I feel like a lot of
Yeah.
the times we see a very like will they or won't they, where it's clear that they
Yeah.
ought to and they're just weirdly
Mhm.
not. For them, there's a lot of he's picking up what she's putting down, and she's like trying to throw what she's putting down as
Yeah.
far away from herself as
She's
possible.
putting
So
it in the
that,
trash and he's like, I'll take that, babe. And she's like,
ooh,
don't go,
ooh,
babe. Yeah.
yeah,
uh,
it's great.
and I've read, I believe it was the producers or the writers of the show have actually stated they're never getting together. Like, we're never, ever, ever
Wow.
getting back together type of situation,
Like
which,
ever?
yes. But, they always change their minds on those things. I mean,
Right.
look at the X-Files. What are you going to do? Um,
Exactly.
but I did love in this episode how she used her feminine wiles on him. The whole, oh, I'm feeling so faint. Won't you get me smelling salts? And he's like, yeah, okay. And then she immediately like ganks the file and like runs out of there.
It was perfect. It was so in character, and I really would love to try that in real life and see if it works, but I don't know if I can pull off the I need smelling salts. I'm too boisterous.
You are. I would never believe that you needed smelling salts.
I need to cultivate more of an air of mystery, clearly. And speaking of an air of mystery, I think one of the other moments we both really liked was the fact that we had this whole discussion about laudanum and
Mm-hmm.
poisons and how they work, and then it came around so beautifully, and they
Perfect.
show her using that knowledge she gained from her father. I
Mm-hmm.
love a little bow, and that was a beautiful little Chekhov's laudanum moment.
Yeah. And it just sealed the episode perfectly.
It did. It did. Now, of course, these are some of our favorite moments, but we want to hear from you watching at home. What are your favorite moments? So you can tell us those in the comments on Facebook, in the comments on YouTube, on Twitch. You can tweet at us at hashtag Drama After Dark. Pretty much anywhere your social media is sold. Not really sold. We don't do ads, but you can find it there, and tell us what you think. And I actually think we have a couple comments on the old social
Ooh,
phone from social producer Zach. So I'm gonna just take a little look-see.
check that out.
Okay. From Facebook, Maria says, loved it. Nice to see Morwenna again, too. And what's her name from DA playing the father? I
Yes.
love that. It's like the typical British drama thing of everyone is the
Yeah.
same. And I
Oh wait, I
definitely
know.
remember the bad guy from somewhere, but I can't remember where,
Yeah.
which a lot
It
of
was
people were saying.
bothering me. Yeah, it was bothering me too. And I'm going to be honest, I realized it wasn't actually a role he had played. It was because to me, he looked so much like Charlie Chaplin. I kept getting confused.
Oh my god, he does! Andrea, I never would have put that together. I'm so glad you said that. That's hilarious.
Yeah, as somebody with a very un-PC and weird crush on Charlie Chaplin, that was like, who does he look like? Why do I feel like he's really hot? And then I looked up all his roles and I was like, no, no. And then I thought, nope, he looks like Charlie Chaplin. That's what it
It's
is. Okay. All
Chaplin.
right,
I didn't
right.
have in my 21 bingo card, Andrea tells the world that she has a crush on Charlie Chaplin, but here we go, making
Okay.
waves. I like
Okay.
it.
Anybody who's seen my back tattoo knows I have a crush on Charlie Chaplin that I don't even agree with myself on. So before anybody lectures me, I know.
Well, Maria, I agree. It was really fun to see all these familiar faces again, especially Morwenna, because Poldark has a large chunk of my heart.
Of course.
Melissa also is joining us again. Nice to see your name again, Melissa. And she says, "Good evening from Chicago." Hello there. I hope you're enjoying out in the Windy City. It's pretty windy here tonight as well. And we have another comment also from Maria who says, "P.S. Love a good costume drama and a great twist. Woman hero!" Yes.
Yes.
It's kind of ticking all my boxes. It's kind of perfect.
I mean, I don't know if they were reading our emails again, which I'm starting to think the BBC and ITV has a look right at our Slack conversations, because this is everything we could need.
Yeah, pretty much, exactly. Completely agree. So those are some comments from you guys. Please keep them coming. I will be checking the social phone all evening. We would especially love it if you would weigh in on the hot take debate, which we are about to embark upon. Tonight's hot take debate topic: are the Duke, Wellington, and Papa Scarlet being sexist, or are they just being concerned for their friend slash love interest slash daughter? Not a great series of slashes. I kind of regret that I set that up that
There's
way.
a lot of and/ors you could have included in there, and you went the other way, and I'm not sure I approved, Jackie. Let's be honest.
Yep, I'm sorry about that. It should have been an and/or. But
this is what happens when you have a live show. What are you going to do?
So yeah, tell us what you think about the way that I just phrased that, and also where you fall on this debate topic, because I think that one could argue either way. And
yeah,
do you have a strong opinion on this, Andrea? I cannot remember which way we decided we would have this debate.
I'm going to say concerned. I can argue that side easily.
Go for it.
All right. So as a devout feminist, let me put that out front, since I'm just dropping all of the controversial bombs on this show today.
Good.
As a devout feminist, I feel that they're being concerned. And the reason I feel that is for two reasons. For Papa Scarlet, it's because it's his kid. They live in England in this era, the Victorian era, which was particularly, dangerous. It was particularly crime-ridden. And he has a very beautiful daughter who's very obviously, she looks very innocent. And she also, she's been raised in a very upper middle class way, in that she thinks she knows what the world is, but she doesn't quite. And we see that. We see she's wily, and we see that she's smart, but there are definitely things she's very naive about still. And I think that's an intelligent way of being an intelligent thing to be concerned about with your child. I also think parents tend to be over concerned with their children. I mean, when I left for college at 18, one of the big things in my family, which is a feminist family, was maybe think about going to another college before you move to New York, because you've lived in a very sheltered existence for a very long time and you will get mugged immediately if you move there. And as a 35-year-old woman now, I don't disagree with that. I would be concerned if I had a 19-year-old and they were like, "I'm moving to the Big Apple. It's going to be great." And I know thousands of kids do that. Thousands of people do that constantly, and they're fine. But I think some people are a little naive, and I think we do see some of her naivete in this episode. I also think Wellington's reason is Scarlet was the father Scarlet was his mentor, and he now feels responsible for her. And the last thing he wants is her to get injured or hurt or taken advantage of, because he feels that this man would be so disappointed in him. I feel he almost has a heavier weight to bear, because he's both fearful for her, because, as we said, he clearly has a massive crush on her, but also he has the weight of feeling responsible for her because of his connection to her father. I also think during this period, them being this concerned because women were considered so delicate, and their delicate natures being based in some kind of pseudoscience was so well known, that I think it makes sense.
Interesting. Now, I am contractually obligated to disagree with you here. I, I will say, I think you made some good points. I do disagree a little bit in that I think that there's a really interesting position that Wellington is in. Like, yes, he's supposed to sort of take care of his mentor's kid, but on the
Mhm.
other side, I don't think he ever fully, at least in this first episode,
Mhm.
recognizes her intelligence.
Mm.
And he does not see her as an equal. And in some ways, like, she is ahead of him. Like, she was raised by his mentor. So he had a couple years with the guy. She had an entire lifetime with this dude.
Mhm.
Like, she was learning about the guy who figured out how to look for arsenic poisoning at what, like 15?
Yeah.
So she's light years ahead of him in lived
Mhm.
experience. She's smart as a dang whip. And while yes, she is certainly a little naive. I think the scene where she's
Mhm.
like, I'll pay you off to help me, and like flashes her entire money around is such a classic, like, I'm new to the big city and don't know how to behave kind of thing.
Yeah.
She so quickly solves that problem,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
because she's like able to put herself in that position of figuring out where people see her weaknesses. And I think that that's part of it. Like, I don't think she would be able to successfully play the I'm just a weak little woman and I need some smelling salts routine if he didn't inherently think that she were weak enough to need smelling salts.
Mhm.
And yes, some of that is certainly era appropriate. But yeah, there's definitely an element of you can't hang with the boys, and so I am going to treat you like a little flower. The dad, I will say, I think some of that is just like regular paternalism, and not in the like um kind of negative aspect, just in the like, it's my kid, I
Yeah.
I worry about them type of thing.
Yeah. Especially
However,
because he lost his wife.
yes, exactly. And she's clearly the only child, unless there's like some secret Scarlet that's going to show up in Act 3, which would be kind of fun, and I'm not mad at. Um, However, the scene where it's the second flashback, where he's telling her that like he has to move her to another school because this other playground bully said something
Yeah.
like really horrible to her, and somehow that's like his fault for making her unusual, and that's a bad thing. Like, I think that some of that was just lip service to like society on his part. Like, I actually think that
Mhm.
in his little Papa Scarlet heart, he's like, no, I'm glad I raised my kid this way, and I want her to like stand out and be the tall poppy and all that like
Yeah.
American exceptionalism stuff that we're always such a fan of, and the British are always
Yeah.
like, oh no, don't do. So yeah, I think it's a little bit of sexism, especially on Wellington's part. I'm less worried about Papa Scarlet, and I think he
Mhm.
will redeem himself more, and hopefully so will the Duke, which is such a
Mhm.
great moniker. I'm a little concerned
I
about that.
know. I'm definitely going to concede on Wellington this week. I think we both sort of agree on Papa Scarlet. But
Yeah.
I'm totally ready to concede on Wellington. I can see your point that he is a just being sexist and not.
Hopefully it comes around. I have faith in the guy. I mean, he is written by the Masterpiece team, and she wouldn't like him if he was a total jerk, so
Yeah, fair enough.
well, that's what we think. Let's take a look and see what the old internet folks have to say. If we have any comments online, um, Melissa has weighed in. She says, "Concerned. It's the Victorian era. They want to protect her. That's fair. Completely agree. I mean, a point well made by Andrea." Um, we have Maria with, oh, this is really fun. She's referencing an American Experience documentary. Um,
Oh,
the one called Codebreaker, which is about a woman in World War One, I think, or two, and had to defer to men even though she outranked them in expertise. A really great point, and I think probably like a pretty common experience for many women.
wow. Hmm.
Yeah. What would that be like? Anyway,
Hmm.
sexism, it sucks. But is and that's the official position of Drama
Who knew?
After Dark.
Surprisingly, we are anti-sexism.
Right? Surprising. Anyway, that being said, it's time for one of our favorite segments. This is, of course, Crystal Ballers, where every
Yes.
season we predict as widely as possible what we think will happen. Now, I want it to be known, Andrea and I have seen a few episodes of the show, but we made all of these predictions after we saw the first episode, so we did not watch ahead. This is all just episode 1 only. We didn't
Yes.
cheat.
Yes, we talked before we talked about the rest of the show. We talked about these.
Always.
Always. We would remain faithful to you in our wild speculations, oh audience. Never fear.
We must. Indeed.
So,
First
what's
wild
your
speculation.
yeah? Oh, you want me to go first?
Oh, I can go first. I don't mind.
Yeah.
My first thought is that I think we both had thought of this independently, which is kind of funny, is that we think that there will be some kind of Clara ex machina. Clara, who
Mm,
is now like wealthy and is like sort of left town
mhm.
with her uncle's riches, will come back and save the day at a later date when we least expect it.
Yeah, yeah, and I agree with that. There was that look that they shared was just too like I see you moment. Like that was too much of an I see you moment for them to not have a friendship or association later on. I thought
Yes.
it was really good. And I mean, honestly, I kind of just wish that she and Clara just were like, let's do this for all the women. Uh, I
Right?
just kind of were like, let's become detective buddies. But at least not in this episode, it didn't seem.
And no, I sort of felt the same way. I love like strong female friendship vibes and found
Yeah,
family vibes. And
yeah,
we already
yeah.
sort of have that with Ivy and maybe a little bit with
Mhm.
our next door neighbor or down the street neighbor, Rupert.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Rupert and his horrible mother.
Yeah, seriously. Now, speaking of Rupert, I think you
Mhm.
had a prediction about our friend Rupert.
Yes, and I believe I just tweeted this out during the show, which was I Rupert's conversation with Eliza when he was like, "I can't marry you," and here's why. I just felt a lot of his language was really heavily coded, and to me, it felt a lot like coded for that era, being that he can't marry her because she's a woman, and he's not
Mm,
interested in her because she's a woman. And I might be reading too much into that. I might be too hopeful that we'll get another diverse minority character on one of these shows. Um, but I'm really, I, just the way that his speech to her was written felt very particular. And as I said, it felt very like coded language in that I feel that we might have a queer character in this show, which I would be really into for this era because we don't see that often.
yes,
At least
completely agree.
Yeah, at least not in British dramas. There's a lot of we saw a Portrait of a Lady on Fire recently, which was a queer period film, which was great. And I believe there was another one that came out. I can't remember the name of it. So we're getting more of it. So I'm hoping that we get that from Rupert. I would really enjoy
I agree. I also think that that is coming down the pipe. We will see.
that.
I also would love it if just like if that is the case, if we get to watch him find love and figure out how to
Yes,
like navigate that in this
yes,
really
yes.
restrictive era. Partly because
Mhm.
like he just seems like a sweet kid, and I love someone who
Yeah,
no matter the outcome, the fact that he sat down in front of her and said, like, look, I'm really sorry, I can't marry you. Like, I don't want to. I have to grow a backbone and like stand up to my horrifying mother.
yeah,
Um, like,
yeah,
good for you, Roops. We
yeah.
like you, buddy.
But speaking of that too, I think we also wanted to talk about Moses, who was the minority
Yes.
character in this episode, who we're hoping sticks around.
I hope so too, and I could see such a wonderful like future of them being like
Mhm.
crime solving BFFs.
Yes.
I I think that they have like a sort of similar mutual like, oh, you're kind of neat vibe
Mhm.
going right now, and I would really
Mhm.
like to see so much more of that
Yeah.
because it's just a fun duo and they've got a nice dynamic.
Yeah. And I think honestly, he seems like the type that's sort of ripe for a redemption arc. So I'm
Yes.
like, I'm all about a redemption arc. As you know, I'm a sucker for a villain that turns good. So I would love if Moses sort of he's in a position that seems like it could be very coming from a place of caring, but he acts like he doesn't care. So I'm really curious to learn more, and I hope we do.
It's almost like she has that dynamic of being like, I'm I have to pretend to be so innocent because like that's what society wants from me, and he has to pretend to be like this kind of hard ass because that's what society wants from him. And I feel
Mhm.
like neither of them is as much of either of those categories as they're pretending to be. And so
Yeah.
like be in the middle. go get ice cream, maybe ride a bicycle. I don't know. I'm all about it.
Can tell each other secrets, have slumber parties. That's totally kosher in this era, right? That's something they do.
Yes, absolutely, especially with like opposite gender friends, totally.
Yeah, it's totally normal.
Now, those are our predictions. Definitely tell us if you have some of your own. We would love to read them. But next, we have to go to, you guys, my very favorite segment to say ever, the one that Andrea dislikes the most. It's, of course, If You Like This.
Just for that, I'm going first.
Good,
And
go for it.
I'm recommending Veronica Mars.
Good.
Putting my cards on the table. This show is, with the exception of in Veronica Mars, we still have Keith Mars around and guiding Veronica's path. This show is such a Veronica Mars vibe.
Yeah, 100%.
In the Victorian era, like just I'm just a girl detective making my way in the world. Like, even I think I said when we were talking about Moses, when we originally made our crystal baller predictions, I was like, he's Weevil from Veronica Mars.
100%. And this sort of like rude boyfriend character who's like
Yes.
kind of a foil, but they have some fun chemistry. 100%
Yeah.
Veronica Mars too.
100%.
Yeah.
That's Logan, right? I haven't watched it in too long. Oh no.
I was just gonna say, I'm not sure if I remember what the guys, because there's two and it's been a while, but yes.
It's his in season 3 and he's boring like Buffy's season 3 boyfriend or whatever, what's his name came in. Riley. But yeah, it's I'm pretty sure it's Logan is who Jason Dohring plays, and it's that great like bumping heads relationship where they never get along, but they also really like each other.
It's a lot of fun, and it's got such a similar vibe. And also, Kristen Bell is so delightful in that.
Exactly. Like, what more can you ask for? Plus, it's also a period drama because it takes place in the early aughts. So,
honestly,
decades ago.
First of all, how dare you attack me in this manner by saying it has a period drama? But you're not wrong in that it does have a very of its time vibe. And
yes.
Speaking of an of its time vibe, ooh, our other recommendation tonight has to be the show Victoria, of course. Now, if you haven't seen Victoria yet, I don't know what you're doing here because it's a great show. It's set in this exact same time period. The costumes will be very similar. It's actually, I guess, a little earlier because Victoria's reign was so very long. But it's a show about the woman herself and a tall drink of water with a mustache, whose name I'm totally blanking on, who plays Albert? Who Andrea's delighted by. No, the actor. I don't remember.
I forget his name, but he was also in Silk. He was the thieving little barrister student in Silk. But he's fantastic. By that I mean he's pretty cute, even with a mustache, which aren't my favorite facial accessories for men. Sorry, Aditya.
You are consistent on your mustache dislike.
And the thing about Victoria that I think is really great is it's a strong, headstrong woman going into a job that's traditionally male-oriented, and she is naive, but she does listen to people and she does make her own way, and I think that's really important. And it's its own female hero kind of series.
Totally. Can't recommend it enough. It's on Passport. It's streamed right now. You can go watch it. And if you want to just relive the magic, Andrea did some really incredible, like very in-depth season-long recaps, which are like novel length, and you should read them because they're really
brutal. They're brutal, but they're worth it.
Yeah. Now it's time for comment of the day. One of our favorite times of day. So I'm going to just look through ye old social phone and see what Zach has for this mois. Okay, I think he's sending me to Twitter. He's got a specific link. It's coming up.
Very important.
Oh yes. Okay, this is a really good one. And of course my phone is crunchy and loading very slowly. But don't worry, I have Slack up on my computer too. I can do this all day, guys.
Hey, what are you gonna do?
All right, so here's the comment of the day. This is actually from one of our people over in the social media world who also are part of the PBS umbrella.
Okay.
So this is from our colleague Julie, who works in Masterpiece.
Oh!
Yep. At JulieCon Editor on Twitter says, Henley is all dressed up and ready to head to the Dales for tonight's All Creatures, but first we're going to watch Miss Scarlet and the Duke. And then she tweeted a picture of her dog, who is absolutely adorable and is wearing an All Creatures bandana. And I'm going to pull up the picture because I think you all need to see it.
And just as facts, I used to work one unit over from Julie when I worked in cooking shows, and she is the best person.
Look at this puppy.
Oh, baby.
He's going to love her.
How do I get my phone?
Right there.
There. Look at this. I'm in love with this pup. And also the All Creatures Great and Small bandana.
Wait, why didn't we get that swag?
I don't know. We would be wearing it right now, so clearly.
This hat would be on if you're wearing the bandana over my head.
Ready to rock.
Ready to rock.
So look, cute puppies always win, but we will have hopefully more. So if you have a cute dog that you can put in some form of Miss Scarlet outfit and you tweet it at us, we will coo over it and we will show everyone. So yeah,
I will not be lending my hat to a dog, but that's an idea, something like that. Maybe a fascinator you have. I don't know. Fascinator on a cat. Cats love hats.
It's true.
It's true. And on that note, we're going to leave you this week, folks, to catch up on All Creatures, which I can only assume you've been DVRing while you watch us. We'll be back next week for another episode of Miss Scarlet and the Duke. And we'll talk to you then. Have a great week, everybody. Bye.
Bye.